Well, good afternoon. My name is Jamaree Jane. A lot of different stuff for not only the banking industry, but just financial services in itself. So, in taking all the skills that I've learned in those industries, decided to step out on a leap of faith back in 2019 and decided to start working for myself and helping other small business owners, medium-sized business owners, just really understand different ways to get creative with not only building wealth for yourself, but scaling your businesses to the levels that you guys, want to achieve. The $1 million mark for everybody. That's the new $100,000 mark for people. So just really helping people understand what type of KPIs and IPAs that need to be put into place to help them hit the goals is really what I'm here to do with any individual and any company that I come across. So that's a little bit about me. And let's dig into it. So third-party debt collection agencies, I actually sued them for, yes, for a number of different things. It depends on the route we want to go. So how I look at it, Mr. Madawi, is that Mr. Joe. All right, Mr. Mike. So how I look at it is, you've seen The Godfather, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so back in the day, they used to extort businesses for money, right? It's the same thing now. That's really what third-party debt collectors are, except instead of doing it to businesses, they're now doing it to individuals. I never had an account with we'll just say we'll use LVNV funding for example. I've never had an account with them, and a collection account pops up on my credit report. We'll just say I had an old insurance account that I might have left them and didn't pay the last balance or something. They buy debt in pools, then they'll contact you and say, "Hey, Mr. Mike, this is John Doe from LVNV funding calling in reference to an account that's sitting on my desk of a balance of $520 that you owe Liberty Mutual. How do you want to pay it?" That's really what they're going to say. They're never going to say that they bought the account. They're never going to say anything. So what I like to do is I beat them at their own game. As soon as I see it pop up on somebody's credit report, number one, we're going to dispute it. Right? I want to dispute the validity of this account. I want to see, do you guys actually have the chain of custody? Right? Can you show me the assignment of the claim to you guys? Can you show me that? Most of the time they can't show you that. They won't show you an account balance. What they'll show is like an old billing statement or one of your bills from the previous company that you had the account with. So after contacting them, the first thing that they're supposed to do is they're supposed to update your credit report and say, "Hey, Mike called in. He disputed this debt." 30 days go by, they don't do it. I sue them under the FDCPA. I sued them under that, and I sued them for FCRA claims for reporting it on the credit report inaccurately because most of the I would say 99.99% of people, something's wrong with your credit report. It's something that's not accurate because at the end of the day, Transient, Equifax, Experian, they're privately held companies. They're not actually government entities. So they make money by housing all of our information, right? That's how they make their money. So the longer they can keep this collection or the longer they can keep this inaccurate information on your report, the more money they make. And that's essentially how it works. So back to the third-party debt collector, once they don't update the account, I go ahead and send an intent to sue, let them know, "Hey, this is Michael. I'm reaching out to you guys. You guys did not update my report. That's a violation of, we'll just say 15 USC 1692 E8, right? We'll just say that's one of the claims that I use, which says that they're supposed to update the account. I'll give them a chance to settle. So they say, "Hey, Mike, we'll take this off your report. We'll send you a check for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, however much we asking." If they say no, then we go ahead and take it to federal court, and they're not going to want to deal with it in federal court because we have all the evidence. I have the call log to show that you called. I'll do it. I normally record the phone call on another phone and have the transcript ready, and then literally just the court case, file it in the federal court. That'll be the exhibits. Once they get it, 9 times out of 10, the attorney gonna hit you up and say, "What can we do to settle this? We'll suppress the account. We'll pay you $1,000." Most of the time they're like, "Oh, we don't want to pay monetary value." So I kind of play the negotiation game, like being in sales and understanding that I have the power because, well, as in this case, Michael, you have the power because you initiated the court case. So we're in control. So what I say goes. So if you decide, oh, you don't want to pay out this $1,000 or $2,000 that I'm requesting from you for violating me under the FDCPA, we just gonna take it to federal court. I don't let the attorneys, like, they want to play games. They want to play psychological games. So an attorney can call and say, "Oh, well, you don't have a claim." Okay, well, I'll let the judge decide if I have a claim. That's not for you to decide. We're here to talk negotiations. Would you like to settle this? If you want to settle this, this is what I'm requesting. Can your client handle this? Yes or no? "Oh, well, my client can't do X, Y, and Z." Okay, well, then I'll see you in court.
And you get a percentage of the—
Yeah. Most of the time, people don't even want the check. They just want the deletion. So they'll sign a power of attorney, the check will come to me, or what I like to do, just because federal court's not cheap, it's $405. So we just say if we sue them for $1,000, we both will just split the $1,000. You got your the 405 plus $95 for the cost of filing the court case. So.
And if they don't pay, you get the judgment against them. How do you collect it?
That's it. Yeah, they don't.
That's basically what
and that's the same thing with I go federal court because now it's public. Everybody can find it. All you got to do is search Michael versus LVNV funding, and they're able to pull the whole case. So now, because that's how I got good at it, I started going and finding cases where these third party debt collectors were beat. I would download the actual paperwork, read the claims that people were using, and I started creating my paperwork around those claims. So once I send it out the first time, now I already got the whole court case. So I know exactly what to do. And I got you. I'll never take a debt from the creditor. Yeah, I'll do a power of attorney with the consumer so that I can do the paperwork for them for federal court. Right? Because if the check comes, I want it to me instead of having to get them to cash it or get them to deposit and wire, things like that. So just doing a power of attorney is more than enough dealing with the consumer, but I've never done anything for the bank. I've always been against the bank. So that the third party debt collectors and then helping people, I realized a lot of people don't understand how courts work. So helping people get like court cases dismissed, like breach of contract, which most banks sue people for. That's really their only claim. I normally get them just using what I know from accounting. I know that if there's an injury, then you have to show some type of financial documentation that you in fact, Michael LLC suffered an injury. They never supply authenticated evidence. They never supply IRS documentation. They never supply anything to show that this corporation did in fact have an injury. They'll just say, oh, well, you breached the contract. So what I started doing, Mike, was I started looking up CFR codes that show what's supposed to be in a contract. And there's one CFR code that I use all the time. I think it's 16 CFR 433.2. There's a phrase that Congress says is supposed to be in every single contract, and no bank puts it in there. So when they try to hit for the breach of contract, I use everything that I just named to get the dismissal, and then I hit them with the counterclaim for the same amount that they're suing me for. Some attorneys try to play hardball, but I just tell them, okay, we can go. We're gonna demand a jury trial, and the only thing you got are billing statements. You got billing statements. They're not even authenticated. They have no signatures on them. So how is this authenticated evidence pursuant to what New Jersey statutes say? Now the judge has to honor it. So these attorneys get very mad because they get beat by a consumer every single day. Like I've had attorneys tell me, I'm gonna beat your ass. And I'll be like, okay. And then we walk out of there and I'm like, whose ass got beat? Huh? I'm sorry. So it's just a little way for me as a consumer to help other consumers who don't understand, because I'm sure you've seen people get a lawsuit in the mail or they get served at their house and they just ignore it. And it's like, no, it's not going away. You're gonna end up with that garnishment where they're taking 25% of your paycheck, or they send it to an old address where you guys used to live 20 years ago and you didn't even know. And now they got a judgment because they use, I think it's either Mona lookups or Maya lookups to pull people's, non-public information, addresses and stuff like that, or they'll put a credit report and then literally just send it to that address, and then that's the end of it. There was nothing he could prove. I tell a lot of people that too, like Georgia. So something that I'm getting into now, Ali, I know you're getting this, is like getting into quiet title, helping people with quiet titles on their homes. So basically how quiet title works is the mortgage company has to produce the note and the deed. So at the time you sign for your mortgage, it gets destroyed. So there's nothing that they can do. So people go into foreclosure. So I've been learning from a guy out in Oklahoma. What all he does is he has them sign a house over to him. He pays them a couple $1,000 because they're going to lose the house anyway. He does the quiet title. We go take a trip. We're going to the corporate office. We're going to whoever the mortgage company is. We're going to their corporate office. I need to see the note and the deed. Once they don't show it, now I record the conversation. I have a whole transcript. Now I'm going to sue you just for quiet title. So you need to produce this. If you can't, the house is mine. So he's doing that. So for me, Mike, I look at it. I came from an underprivileged community, right? My mom didn't know anything about credit. My mom didn't know anything about finances. Most people, older generation, all they know is work hard, right? Work hard and you're going to get where you want to be. These corporations aren't working hard. They're just taking advantage of us. Ignorance is $1 billion industry. So I figured if I can learn as much as I can to help people not be ignorant, I'm going to make a lot of money and I'm going to help a lot of people at the same time.
How do you handle the bankruptcy?
So it depends on their situation, because we can get creative. We can get very creative with that situation. how I look at it is, I tell people bankruptcy is the last option. Unless you just drowning and there's nothing we can do to bring you back, that's when I'll say bankruptcy. Because now, boom, those credit cards are gone. The car you might have been on in over your head. Like I had a lady in Atlanta, her husband died. So something happened at the hospital. They didn't try to resuscitate him. So now she was at 3 cars, 2 houses, and I think some of his regular business bills. She couldn't handle it. She was dying because they had 3 kids too. So she let the bank. I think she did a voluntary repo on 2 of the cars, and she was just focused on paying the 2 mortgages. So instead of her filing for bankruptcy, I told her, I said, "Hey, why don't we get an appraisal out here?" Because her husband had bought the houses in the early '90s. They were an older couple. So I said, "Hey, why don't we get an appraiser out here? Have them appraise the houses, then you sell the houses as a portfolio to the bank. That way, you're gonna make way more money than if you just let it go or if you file bankruptcy, right?" So we ended up getting both the houses appraised. I think her total appraisal came out to like $1.5 million, and I think they bought collectively was 1.5. And I think she said they have bought the houses maybe 200,000, maybe 300,000. So she was up, almost, what's that, 1.5 minus that's 1.3 million. So she ended up selling the portfolio to, it wasn't a big bank. It was a credit union. It was near Macon, Georgia. I can't remember. I don't know. I want to say it was Credit Union of Macon. That's what I want to say. But anyway, it was a middle Georgia situation. So she ended up walking away with $1.3 million after she sold it. She used that to pay off the remaining the 2 cars that she still had, and some of their credit card debt. And she got a farm. She living her life now. So I always tell people it's the last resort, but you don't know what you don't know. You don't know until you sit down and actually have a conversation with somebody who knows what's going on, or somebody who can say, "Hey, let's get creative about this. Let's think all avenues through before we make this decision."
I would like to buy a small house, 55 and plus.
Mm-hmm.
Just him and me. So
Just y'all?
huh?
Just y'all two?
Just both of us. And I don't want like a big house. I want just 2 bedroom, 2 bed, something just we can afford. But now the price is so high,
Right.
and I don't know how to do that.
When y'all bought y'all first house, who bought it?
I bought the house.
Perfect. That's perfect. That's actually perfect, because now, even though y'all have been renting forever, y'all can still take advantage. There are a lot of first time home buyer programs where they'll pay all your closing costs and things like that. Depending on the credit, most times.
Which is credit has supposed to be how much?
You typically, to buy a house, you typically want to be better than 650. Typically, obviously 700 is better. Most things that stop people might be like your utilization on some credit cards might be high. So if we can get those down under 30%, that's always good.
30% of the
Total.
total of the credit.
Yeah. So yeah, per card. So I just say the total, because obviously if we got 10 cards, it'll be the 30% of the total of all cards. Longevity or some history. So whether you guys have had cars or some credit cards that might be as old as Ali, maybe. If not, okay, cool. It's not a problem.
I pay my. I have the auto pay with all my.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect because the payment history is there, but the longevity is there too, because you might have opened that card in 2000.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So those are really the biggest 2 things: utilization and how long have you had credit, like your mix, whether it be vehicles, whether it be other real estate, whether it be credit cards, whether it be personal loans or installment loans, things like that. That's really the biggest thing. But that's perfect that you guys have never.
So it's possible for us.
Absolutely. Y'all are actually in a great spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have programs for older individuals too. We have to sit down and do some research on it. Yeah, that's it. It's a frightening process. Trust me, that was me in 2019. I was buying my first house, and I'm looking at the price. I'm like, I can't afford this, not realizing that it's going to be over 30 years or it's going to be over 60 years, and the interest rate plays a point in it. And like I ended up, I think my mortgage $800, but I was in a condo in downtown Atlanta. I was paying $1,850, so I cut my expense by $1,000 just by buying a house. But obviously, until you sit down and actually go through that process, you like, I can't afford this. But in actuality, you can, because it's going to be a lot cheaper than renting. Y'all paying somebody else's mortgage. That's how I look at it. And just the ownership piece. I feel like we all should own something. American Home Shield is like your personal Home Depot, Lowe's, appliance fixing things. It's basically them. So what you can do, I use it too because I said the same thing you said, Mr. Mike. I was like, I can't the maintenance. I can't afford that. If something breaks, I gotta pay. American Home Shield. My AC unit was broken, but just so happens that my ducts were flustered with lint, so the AC stopped working. So I'm thinking I need a brand new AC unit. I paid them $75 a month. So it's like a subscription. I paid them $75 a month. I called. They had somebody literally come out the next day. He said, "There's nothing wrong with your AC, and we just need to clear the lint out, and you need to change the filter." Charge me $50. I would have never known that. If I would have called another air conditioning company, they probably would have charged me $300 for the consultation. So I spent $50 for them to tell me what's wrong. Paid I think I paid. Actually, I didn't even pay anybody. I went up there. I got on YouTube and figured it out, and I went up there and cleaned it. And I cleaned up.
We renting, and she make us pay for all the.
That's insane.
Yeah.
If it's their property, they should be paying for it.
She make us pay for everything. I'm talking. Everything.
I believe you. Some people do that.
Right. I had a big argument.
Which you're essentially paying more than a mortgage.
Right. Yeah, because you're paying.
So you could.
Yeah.
You could afford a house.
Now this is what is hurting me because I just found out that made me really mad. We made the deal that she's going to give us 2 years lease, 2-year lease. If we put the garage opener, auto garage opener.
Hell no.
I'm
sorry, excuse my French. No, absolutely not.
We put the garage opener. Now she just texted me saying that she want me to put a new fridge in her house.
Nah.
She's right. Made a deal with her 3 times. She said she has 2 other investors, which I don't believe. You don't believe that, right?
No.
Ask her, Mike. Ask her for a contract. Ask her for a contract between her and the other 2 investors. Landlords are required to maintain rental properties in a safe and habitual condition, addressing essential repairs promptly. Tenants should notify landlords in writing of any issues. If repairs aren't made in a timely manner, tenants may have the right to withhold rent or to make repairs and deduct the cost from rent.
She put that in the contract.
That's why, because y'all signed the contract.
So this one, this lease, I'm not gonna sign for it.
Yeah, no, let's, when y'all lease up?
Huh?
When's lease up? Yeah, we gotta get y'all out of there. Ali, don't let them renew. No more, she's killing y'all. I need y'all to do.
When I told her, she get upset.
When y'all leave in January, everything y'all did, y'all need to take with y'all.
Huh?
Everything y'all did, like everything that y'all bought, y'all need to take with y'all when y'all leave in January.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. We'll take all the light bulbs, everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave any of that stuff because she didn't purchase it, and she was supposed to be the one to. But I mean, I get it. Y'all signed a lease. I get that, but she knew what she was doing. She was taking advantage based off the previous renters. That's what it sounds like to me.
Correct.
I could do that.
But then now we are against the wall. I'm not gonna stop.
Yeah, no, absolutely
I have
not.
to find something else now.
This
is one when he told me you're here. I said, let me see if we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something now.
You gotta get your credit score up there.
What you got? What it got on there, Mom?
Huh?
What you got on your credit?
Not her mistakes, but kids' mistakes.
Right, that's fine. What you got?
Car behind, right? Maybe.
No,
some late payments?
You're not behind your car payment.
Not mine. The other one.
Who?
He doesn't know? You gotta stop doing that. That's your number 1 problem that you gotta work on.
Yeah, y'all.
Car in Florida.
Y'all a team.
Which car?
The car that I bought to me. On mine.
It's got to be Jerry.
Is that behind? How far?
3 months.
How many?
3 months.
They about to come get it.
30.
3. So it's probably.
Tell me that.
Because she's scared of you there.
Yeah, but y'all a team, Mom.
Yeah.
So what's probably gonna happen if it's 30 days? No, if it's 3 months, that's 90 days. They probably already charged it off. We can get that removed. I'm trying to think.
Now it's just
Breathe. What's wrong? You ashamed? You mad? You sad?
He doesn't want to say it in front of me.
It's okay. With people who are married, is you gotta be open, even if you feel good to tell them, because you never know. He might be able to smooth it out, or he might know somebody who can help with the situation. But
Just now, this is my major number one is the roof on top of to secure
Right,
the
for
roof
sure.
on top of our head
Yeah.
because we're both older.
right, yeah,
We've been working 7 days a week straight.
right,
For him and me, we work 7 days a week,
yeah.
which we should not.
Y'all have 401ks, Mike? No, not yet.
No.
I used to have that. I worked for Royal Ambulance.
Okay, what you do with it? Okay, so you just they cut you the check for it.
Yeah, IRS did most of
That's
So-
right. So that's why I always ask people, do they still have one? Because before they get ready to cut it out, I tell them go ahead and roll it over into a Roth IRA. So it already got hit. So once it goes over there, it's yours.
How about mine?
You got 401k?
With the brand new one I had, yeah,
it. That's fine.
that's gone.
Is it gone?
I don't know. You tell me how it's going.
Did you spend it? Did they cut you a check for it?
No.
So-
You had 401k with them, did you?
The retirement is 401k is the retirement, right?
Oh, that's what they had. Instead of actual retirement, they give you 401k.
So just check into it. If you do, it don't matter if it's still, we can just go ahead and it can already be taxed so that once it goes over to that Roth IRA, it's hers. You see what I'm saying? So there's no more taxation to it because they tax it once.
One time.
It is
You
not.
take it out, you're not taxed.
I didn't know mine from different companies.
I had to do it, and I'm only 32, and I had to do it for 5 different companies. I was like, yo, fuck. I was like, golly, but you still have money sitting with these companies that you forgot about that you don't even remember.
I got it.
Yeah, he's like, you don't even remember. You got to think about every job you had. So if I was you guys, this is what I did. Every job I ever had, call HR.
Yeah.
Get the 401k information. Do I have one? They're either gonna say yes or no.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Have you ever done one? Back up.
Yeah.
Back to your station. Have you ever done any in New Jersey?
that's a great question. Most of the cases I've been getting lately, because I've been doing it the last 3 years now, Mike. So most of the cases I get are either in Texas, Georgia, Pennsylvania. I get a lot of MCA cases, so like merchant cash advances, and those will be in New York too. And I'm thinking because there's a lot of these companies that are in like Utah that don't have to identify who they are, they're using New York because they have some type of dealings with that judge. Because I'm just trying to figure out how a company in Utah is filing court cases in New York. But anyway, yeah, exactly. So I was going to say they probably have a registered agent here, or they're licensed to do business here, and they just use New York. And from what I'm seeing, New York's laws are very strenuous against consumers, especially when they take out loans. So these people are getting killed. Like this lady had a $100,000 MCA loan. She was paying back $2,000 a week. I said, you're getting smoked. If you're paying back $2,000 a week on $100,000, that means your interest rate is at minimum over 20%. That's usury. That's unrich adjustment. They're smoking you. But again, ignorance is $1 billion industry, and sometimes people get in situations where they don't have a choice, and then they don't try to fix it. They just be like, "Well, we're just gonna pay this so nothing happens." Oh, you're fine. You're good. And they're like, "Well, we just gonna pay this so nothing happens," and it's like, you don't have to be in this situation. So, but I'm pretty sure I've done a case or two in New Jersey, but most of my cases are either New York, Georgia, Pennsylvania.
How do they find you? How do you
Social media. Most people find me through social media. They see ads like right now.
Facebook like that?
Yeah, so I do a lot of ads right now and funnels for people with collections because I know everybody has collection accounts and bankruptcies. Because most people who have filed bankruptcy, they be like, "Oh, I got to wait 7 years to restart," and I'm like, "No, you don't." And they be like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "You don't, because of the
They don't
simple.
what? You said they don't.
They don't have to wait 7 years to restart. We can get that slate clean today." So how that works, which is another process, is the bankruptcy court never provided your information or anybody's information that filed bankruptcy to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. So you got to ask the question, how did they get it? They fished it out. So if they fished out that information, they did not have permissible purposes to report that, because what Congress says is supposed to be in your credit report is really only stuff about employment and stuff that's non-transactional. But what's everything on our credit report? Transactional. You see that? But People don't study the laws, so people don't know. So companies will tell you, like Bank of America might tell you, say, hey, Michael, we're required by law to report this. Okay, show me where you're required by law to report it, because I can show you several different laws that says that transactions are not supposed to be reported on the consumer credit report.
You know, a funny thing is, when I filed for bankruptcy back in 2021, 1 year later, my credit score went up to 730. Because they sent me, well, we know you filed for bankruptcy, we're going to start you with a $200 credit limit on a credit card.
And that was the only thing you had. So
just paid it off right away.
Yeah.
Little stuff, sticker come here, paid it off, sticker come out, paid it off. But 1 year I go with 730.
Yeah,
I got all kinds of cards.
That's how it works, because you got the fresh start. Now the bankruptcy might still show, so some places might be like, oh no, you filed bankruptcy in 2021.
Show to about 10 years.
I think it's 10 or 7, but I tell people, like, we don't have to wait that long. We can wipe it immediately, because again, they're not supposed to report it. So how that works, I write a letter on behalf of you or whoever and say, hey, bankruptcy court of Northern New Jersey, did you supply my information for my bankruptcy to TransUnion Equifax Experian? They're going to write you back a letter. They're going to state that they do not supply any information about bankruptcies to the consumer reporting agencies. So that lets me know that, how did they get it? They got it from a secondary company. So all I got to do is look up secondary companies that report, or I can ask, hey, ChatGPT, or hey, Siri, what are secondary reporting agencies that report bankruptcies to TransUnion Equifax Experian? It's going to spit out every single one. I'm going to file a dispute with each one of them. I'm going to send them an intent to sue for submitting this information to TransUnion Equifax Experian. First, I'm gonna dispute it, and they're gonna come back and say it's validated. Who did you validate it with? To validate anything about Michael, right? To validate anything about Ali, you have to speak to somebody who knows me personally. So who did you speak to in regards to my bankruptcy? You didn't speak to my mom. You didn't speak to my wife. If I have a wife, you didn't speak to my husband. My husband, my sister. You didn't. You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't speak to nobody. So that means that you fished this information out. You did not have permissible purpose, so it's not supposed to be reported. So then when you sue them, they be like, oh, well, we didn't get the TransUnion Equifax Experian say, oh, well, we got it from a secondary bureau. So cool, that means you did not conduct a reasonable investigation. Now I got you on that. What else? So again, I build all my disputes around how I'm going to file the court case, because I know what I'm going to go after you for. So I'm going to build my disputes around that, so the evidence is there. So it's no going back and forth. So when your attorney calls me, we talking settlement, or we talking about jury trial by demand? And if we go to a jury trial and they see, okay, you broke this law, this law, this law, this law, and this law, okay, it's going to be quick. They never want a jury trial. We can figure it out, because at the end of the day, that person might have some information I need. They might know something I don't know. They might have a skill that I could use. So I've had situations where somebody say, hey, look, I don't have the money to pay you, but these are the services that I have. Can you use any of these? And I might look at it and say, oh, well, I don't really know much about marketing. Let me see some of your marketing stuff. And they'll provide me with enough marketing, information for 6 months or something like that. And that's not for everybody. That doesn't work for everybody. But I don't think that there's a person that I've met that I couldn't help just because of money. Like, because once we fix everything, the money will be there on the back.
You talking about bartering?
I do barter with people all the time, because
How about this two old people?
Oh no, I got y'all. Y'all good. Don't worry about it.
There's two really old people here.
Nothing, because your son helps me all the time. So
We'll make sure you eat. But
are we good?
I haven't done a bartering thing. Good idea, though.
Yeah, it's.
Can you do judgment enforcement? Can you use the judgment enforcement stuff that he does, or does it
I
have to be
think if he teaches me it, I'm sure I can figure it out.
Cool. So
I think that's something. There's something there. I'm just passionate about helping people. I just feel like it's a lot of people that need help. What you got, Rich? You don't got no questions? You good?
It was something with my house. It was supposed to be a home equity line of credit. It wound up being like a second mortgage,
And they didn't tell you?
and the way it was all went about and everything else, and there was a statute of limitation on it.
7 years?
Huh?
7 years?
It was like 7 years or something like that on payment for it and everything.
Right.
For it to be paid. And after we sold our house and everything else, they kept coming after me for it. And they kept sending me saying, we're gonna take you to court, this, that, and the other thing. If you read, and like I said, if you read the bottom, the fine print at the bottom, it basically states statute of limitation is it reaches the statute of limitation on whatever this day and date and everything else.
They try to use that on a lot of people. So in your case, it really was fraud and misrepresentation.
Yes.
But you didn't. Again, the way they presented it to you, you not knowing or ever doing a home equity line of credit, you didn't know. Oh shit, this is a second mortgage. You just thought it was a home equity line of credit. So understanding that, yeah, that makes sense. And people get those letters from the attorney saying, hey, you're being sued or you could be potentially sued, and they get scared and they're like, oh my God, I gotta call them. And it's like, yo, just relax. You're not going to jail. You're not going. That's the first thing everybody asks me. Am I going to jail for it? You're not going to jail. Relax. I said the worst they could do is, like you said, garnishment or levy. That's it. You're not going to jail.
The first is because several cards that are out there that don't honor hardship.
So if they tell you they don't honor, do a Consumer Finance Protection Bureau complaint. I'm telling you, I'm serious. Do it because the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is what protects everybody. That's when you see these companies getting sued for billions of dollars. They're getting sued by the CFPB because, like, Navy Federal just got sued for what, almost $100 million in late fees and charges against people. And it's it's the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau that are taking these companies to court. But yeah, I would just file with the CFPB. Just make sure that you understand that you always got some type of resource. You always have some type of choice to make. Right? Don't feel pressured by these companies contacting you. Don't feel like you're about to die, like you're going to jail. None of that stuff is going to happen. So just make sure that you are doing, I wouldn't say the research, just make sure that you are doing what you need to do to inform yourself on different situations.